World Cities Day 2023 memfokuskan pada tema Financing Sustainable Urban Future for All untuk meneroka kunci pelaburan yang transformatif dalam pembangunan bandar serta mencapai desentralisasi fiskal yang mencukupi. Bersama editor Kanan Astro AWANI, Dzulfitri Yusof terbang jauh kira-kira 8,272 km jarak dari Malaysia sehingga tiba di Istanbul, Turkiye untuk membawa perinciannya.
Terima kasih rakan setugas di studio, dan hari ini merupakan Hari Bandar Sedunia ataupun World Cities Day, di mana tahun ini ianya disambut di Üsküdar di Istanbul, Turki, dan saya kini bertuah kerana dapat bersama dengan sebahagian besar daripada penyertaan dari seluruh dunia bersempena dengan World Cities Day ini. Dan terima kasih kepada Turkish Airlines yang bersedia berkolaborasi bersama kami untuk memungkinkan liputan ini dibawakan kepada anda. Dan pastinya perkara ini kita ingin fahami dan juga lihat daripada pelbagai perspektif, di mana daripada segi penganjurannya, bagaimanakah siapa yang terlibat, dan juga apakah tema yang diangkat dalam World Cities Day untuk tahun ini. Saya bersama dengan Katrina China, merupakan Ketua Komunikasi UN Habitat. Thank you, Katrina, for being with us for the AWANI today. Happy World Cities Day, and we are here again in Üsküdar, Istanbul. Perhaps you can give the overview of the World Cities Day in conjunction the whole month of campaign of Urban October. What's a special thing that we can gain from the World Cities Day this year?
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me here, and happy World Cities Day to you as well. So this year we are celebrating World Cities Day in the municipality of Üsküdar in Istanbul, Turkiye. It's one of the ancient municipalities, and we are really happy that they are the co-organizers of this World Cities Day. World Cities Day usually ends our Urban October campaign. Urban October campaign is 31 days to promote sustainable urban development. We start with World Habitat Day on the first Monday of October and end at the end of October. This year, the whole month we celebrated and we promoted sustainable urban development, and we focused on the topic of financing sustainable urban development. It is a very important topic because we can talk about sustainable development, but financing is a fuel that helps run
Without financing and investing, there's nothing that can happen.
Yes, so that's why we feel it is very important to talk about this topic, especially now with the economic downturn, with a lot of conflicts happening, climate disasters that claim more and more lives and affect more and more people and communities. We feel it is really important to address the issue of financing, and especially now because in July we had a high-level political forum in New York, and we all realized that we are behind in meeting sustainable development goals and our targets for the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. It is really important to do something. One of the ways how we can accelerate development is by igniting our cities and using the power of our cities as engines of economic development. Cities are really important players. They need to have a seat at the table. They also have the key to economic prosperity. So we need to somehow unlock their potential. And that is essentially the purpose of our Urban October and especially World Cities Day. We really want to see how we can unlock transformative financing to help cities grow and realize their potential.
Who will be here at Üsküdar for the World Cities Day, because UN Habitat will connecting the dot between the various stakeholders, especially in this kind of topic of the sustainable financing. Who will be here today?
Yes, you are very right in saying that we are connecting the dots. We are, so to say, the conveners. So what we like to do is we like to bring together different stakeholders. It means government, local governments, cities and local authorities, also businesses, academia, the civil society. We made our effort to bring here also private sector and investors. One day before the World Cities Day, we had a high-level meeting on financing where we brought together really the brightest minds in finance to talk about recommendations or their suggestions, what can be done to finance sustainable urban development and to unlock this sustainable urban development and help cities. So we are really happy that this is happening, but I also would like to say that this year we really have a very high representation at World Cities Day. We have the patron of World Cities Day is Her Excellency Amina Erdogan, the First Lady of Turkiye, and she is a champion of sustainable urban development, of zero waste initiatives and circular economy. So she has really engaged a lot of people, and we have 13 First Ladies from all over the world coming here to support the cause of zero waste and sustainable urban development.
Perhaps we can understand how the collaboration between the UN Habitat and the government of Turkey itself, because there's something we can see how huge the collaboration here. Perhaps you can mention about that.
Well, I would say that we are trying to develop relationships with different countries, and we are open to collaboration with all member states who are interested in supporting the cause of sustainable urban development, in supporting cities and human settlements. So Turkey has been really very open to that collaboration, has been really very generous in supporting UN Habitat in particular. So for example, last year we celebrated World Habitat Day in one of the municipalities in Turkey, in Balıkesir in Turkey. So it was really where we started developing even deeper relationship with them. So this year we are celebrating here in the municipality of Üsküdar in Istanbul. Also, UN Habitat is one of the secretariats of the Zero Waste initiatives, and also the International Zero Waste Day that was proposed by the resolution of the General Assembly, and it is celebrated at the end of March. So that way Turkey is really showing that they really want to champion this, they want to promote sustainable urban development, and they want to exchange, they also want to bring knowledge from all the other parts of the world and share the knowledge that they have, because they have done quite a lot in developing their cities and human settlements. So they also want to showcase some of the examples of their work, but at the same time also learn from others and adopt some of the innovative methodologies or approaches to urban planning and urban development.
Katrina, how will we define the financing sustainable development? Because in the shifting of thinking and understanding the new way of investing and then collaborate with the local government, for instance, how do we find there's a shifting of trend for the investor to aware about the sustainable development, especially in the urban area?
Yes, I think it's financing is of course a very difficult and complicated.
It's always about profit, yeah.
Yeah, they're always about profit. But what our executive director always keeps saying, that she is really, her focus is to develop people partnerships that are public-private people partnerships. So it's meaning the public sector, the private sector. Public sector knows the need, knows what needs to be done. The private sector has the resources, the means, the methodologies, but it's not after profit. We really need to center it on people to make sure that people benefit from this work, and it is also scalable. So that's the riddle that we are trying to solve. Really find, and I think that a lot of frameworks, a lot of methodologies are there. It is really trying to find a way how to bring financing from the national levels, international levels, because there is a lot of international aid, a lot of development financing, a lot of national plans and budgets are adopted. But it all needs to come to the local level so that people in communities and municipalities can benefit. Sometimes it's very difficult. First of all, it's the knowledge, what are the tools, what are the methodologies.
Understanding the whole concept, yeah.
Yeah, and the whole concept. But also, at the same time, they also need to know how to present present the work that they want to do in a way that appeals to the businesses, appeals to the investors. So it's like developing skills for them as well to be able to see how they can attract the financing, because very often these are the skills that are lacking. So this is what we are trying to do, and the work that UN Habitat is doing is really trying to find a way how we can, on the one hand, talk to the financiers, investors, but at the same time bring the municipalities and the governments and show them how they need to adapt. So it's really bridging the gap and really connecting the dots.
And how UN Habitat being the facilitator, connecting the dot and then bridging the gap?
Well, that's what we are trying to do by, first of all, bringing these people, using the forums like we have the World Habitat Day, the World Cities Day. Of course, we also have the biggest forum that we are organizing is World Urban Forum that is happening next year in November in Cairo.
Okay.
So we are trying to bring all these different stakeholders together so that they can start the discussion. They at least learn from each other. And then, for example, here at the roundtables that we are going to have at the World Cities Day, we will talk about some examples, showcasing some examples, what has been done and what can be replicated, what can be learned. What can be learned by the private sector, what can be learned by municipalities. We aim, that's our aim this month, because we focused, during the whole month, we focused on sustainable urban development. What we want to do at the end, we want to come up with 3 specific recommendations that can be shared and adopted or put forward what can be done to really connect the dots, bring together the public sector, the private sector, and connect it to the people in communities.
Katrina, after all, how we adopt the zero waste solution and we find the best practice to make this as a new goal for the whole world. Understand of the circular economy, and then how do you treat the zero waste as a good initiative, and it can be profitable as well. How do we can understand about this, and how the municipal or cities adopt about this?
Yes, I think that Turkiye is really a good example to talk about the zero waste, because that is a cause that has been championed by the First Lady. Also, there is a Zero Waste Foundation that was set up here, and they've really connected with a lot of countries trying to promote this concept of really reducing waste and really having zero waste, where we recycle and repurpose things that we use, because our economy is really dependent so much on this extra things we consume, that we buy things, we throw them away, and so much is really wasted. So we really need to think how we can, even if in the fashion industry, you know, we take the fashion, we wear things and then we get rid of them very quickly. How we can use the circular economy concept and create some things from waste. And there are already examples. So there are some fashion designers, or for example, there are companies that are doing like bags from recycled leather or from recycled leaves or recycled plastic. So this really needs to be mainstreamed, and we need to show how things can be done with, without waste. Even waste that we produce, we can then use it and create something else out of it. And I think even I find it really amazing, because sometimes even you have artists who are creating art out of waste. And one of the examples that we had a couple of years ago when we started working with Turkiye and discussing zero waste initiatives, they showed us different artists here in Turkiye who are using waste to create art.
Katrina, perhaps for my final question, how can this kind of discussion can be digested by the mass people, the many people down there? Because we don't want this kind of event being exclusive for a certain group of people. How you can empower the people to have this kind of understanding and can participate as well?
Thank you very much. Well, I think it's a very good question, because this is something that we are also constantly thinking as UN Habitat. Very often we do realize we are cognizant of them. We are talking about these things. we are talking to people who know, and it might be very difficult for others who are not so exposed to these topics to understand what even we are talking about. So one of the things we are trying to do in our communication is really to explain some of these concepts. But I understand that sometimes
Sometimes certain jargons quite alien sound to them.
Yes, it is alien. So what I am actually trying to do, one of the things that I am personally interested in doing, even in Kenya, where UN Habitat is headquartered, is really working with the journalists in the media and asking them, help us, we have this SDGs, we have the sustainable urban development, we have these different concepts. Help us to really bring them down, to explain them to your readers, to your public that normally reads you or watches you, how we can do it in a language that is understandable. How can we create materials that are understandable so that they would know what are we talking about when we are talking about zero waste, or when we are talking about sustainable urban development? What does it mean, urban planning? I was even suggesting that we have like a dictionary of 10 different terms that we can use and then explain it to the general public so that it becomes understandable. Because when we talk about urban planning, also very often a lot of these terms are not understandable, and even for the people who work in this sector, sometimes they also don't understand what it actually means.
Thank you, Katrina, for always involved as Astro AWANI being part of the strategic partner for UN Habitat. Thank you, Katrina. Itu kita temu saya bersama dengan Katrina, Ketua Komunikasi untuk UN Habitat, dan pastinya ini ada banyak cabang dan juga perkara yang perlu kita lihat dengan lebih meluas. Kalau dalam bisnes, sudah pasti kita melihat kepada bagaimanakah sejenis pelaburan ataupun pendanaan itu melihat kepada pembangunan lestari itu secara keseluruhan. Sekian saja laporan saya dan juga temu bual saya. Kami bawakan dari Üsküdar, Istanbul. Terima kasih kepada Turkish Airlines yang berkolaborasi bersama Astro AWANI untuk membawakan liputan ini kepada anda. Kita terus saja bersama dengan rakan setugas di Bukit Jalil.